So this one is Unit 6 from May-June 2023 paper. Usually you have to learn the identification of the ions, which is there in the transition element topic. In the question, a student investigated two aqueous solutions labeled P and Q. Both solutions were green, and look, if it's a green solution, what is given idea? This given idea that there's a transition element or transition matter. Both solutions were green, and each solution contained one cation and one anion. Tests were carried out in P. So when we carry out the tests in P, first few drops of sodium hydroxide was added, and inference chromium might be there. So if a chromium is there, what will be the color of the precipitate? Then it will be a green PPT. Because with chromium, the solution will form a green PPT. More sodium hydroxide was added until there was no further change. The chromium ion are confirmed. So what will the observation if we add an excess of so it will precipitate will dissolve and it will form a green solution. So PPT dissolve, and when the precipitate dissolve, it will form a green solution will form. Few drops of a dilute nitric acid was added, and then few drops of silver nitrate was this is a test for halide. So if it is a white precipitate, the formula of the anion could likely responsible for making, look, the precipitate formula we need. So the precipitate, because white precipitate are due to the presence of a chloride ion. If it was a cream color precipitate, so if the formula of anion likely, so we just need an anion, sorry, not the formula of a precipitate, formula of anion. And read these words when the bold, like some words are in bold. So here it is important. So if you write only chloride, they will make it wrong because they mention formula. So you have to write a formula. And if you write only Cl, that is also wrong. It must be Cl minus 1. So when you read such question, read it properly so you don't miss any point. The next one is state why is silver nitrate why in silver nitrate test and nitric acid was not needed in this case, and justify your answer by considering the role of nitric acid in a silver nitrate test. So what is the role of a nitric acid in a silver nitrate test? The nitric acid mainly is used to remove any other ions, like remove carbonate or hydrogen carbonate. And because specifically why nitric acid, why not hydrochloric acid? Because it will have increase, like chloride, some of the all nitrate salts are soluble. That's why. So example, what will happen if we use the main purpose of adding a nitric acid to remove any interfering ions such as carbonate or hydrogen carbonate. And why only nitric acid? Why not other acid? Because nitric acid, when they react, they form nitrate salt, and all nitrate salts are soluble. But why we don't need this in this case? Because here we have, like example, we don't have a carbonate because chromium carbonate is insoluble. As the chromium carbonate is insoluble, we won't have a solution. So the points which you will mention here, the first one, the purpose of adding a nitric acid is to remove ions which interfere with results such as carbonates and hydrogen carbonate. And why we did not use here, because it's a chromium carbonate. If it was a chromium carbonate, the chromium carbonate is insoluble. So why we did not use the nitric acid? Because already we have a solution. So it means it is not chromium carbonate or sodium chromium hydrogen carbonate. That's why we did not use them. We use a nitric acid. Directly we add silver nitrate. The student carried out the test on Q and infer that its solution of a iron 3 sulfate. The addition of a dilute aqueous ammonia to a sample produce a green precipitate which changes the color on standing. Explain why the color change leads to a student infer that Q contain iron 2 ion. So first, what will happen when we add aqueous ammonia? It will form a iron hydroxide will be there. Iron 2 hydroxide will be there, and iron 2 hydroxide will form the green precipitate. And why? What will happen? The precipitate will turn brown. Why the precipitate will turn brown? Because of formation of iron 3. So why the color change led the student? Because iron 2 iron 2 is green in color. But when we have iron 3, so if you have iron plus 3, that is brown in color. So it changes from, it is oxidized and changes from green to brown. Iron 3 hydroxides. Or iron 2 is being oxidized, and that's why there's a color change. Describe a test and its positive results that the student could carry out to show the presence of sulfate ion. What is a test of a sulfate ion? Add nitric acid followed by and that nitric acid is followed by barium sulfate or a barium nitrate, aqueous, barium chloride or barium nitrate. And it will form a white PPT. Identify by name or a formula a metal cation other than chromium and iron 2 that could get a green color in aqueous solution. So green color in aqueous, they're not saying precipitate, the green color in aqueous solution. So that might be due to nickel or vanadium because nickel plus 2 and vanadium plus 3. So we may have a nickel which is plus 2 or we may have vanadium plus 3. They may result in a formation of green solution. So you have to, this chapter is totally based on, you have to memorize these tests. So every session we'll do a question from this unit 3.